Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer PlayStation 5. Top 5 games for 2025. Oh, and what a mystery. It's pretty much the same as 2024. Sometimes the order of these things change, guys, but I think the harder, and let's talk about it as Gen X gamers, right? Let's talk about it, people from a different time where we love games that were finished, where we love that we didn't have to get nickel and dimed to death when buying video games. We got nickel and dimed at the arcade. We got quartered at the arcade, right? That was the ultimate microtransaction, man. When you transfer the money that was made back then into today's dollars, it's just mind blowing, guys. It's into the billions of dollars, regardless, guys. One of the things that we critique as older gamers, as retro gamers, is the state of the AAA industry today. But let me tell you something, just like any other industry, guys, businesses are driven to what customers want. And this is the part that people can't accept, right? We have a hard time accepting this. You know, now in my older age, I have accepted it, right? I'm no longer part of that demographic that that advertisers are looking for. I'm no longer the key demographic that video game makers are targeting. And that's why a lot of the games that come out, I don't like. I don't like them because they're not made for me, right? And if you're my age, around my age, Gen Xer, even a millennial, these games aren't for you, right? Some millennials love Fortnite, you know, they love Call of Duty. And I'm not saying that Call of Duty is not a great game, by the way. I'm just saying that we complain about microtransactions, but what the market is reacting to is this. And let me tell you, full disclosure, I'm a person who has bought, Call of Duty. I spent money on GTA 5, for example. I own the game. I'm not online. I'm not an online player. But I've spent the most money on Roblox, right? Minecraft, Fortnite, and not for me, right? That's what my grandkids want. You know, anytime they get a chance, when they, instead of giving them $5 or whatever, $10, $20, they want Roblox cards. What am I going to do? They want, some character came out of Fortnite, and my grandson, oh, God, I want this skin. I just need, this much to get it, Okay. Now they're more into Roblox, but that has been my experience, right? So I'm spending every video game that I buy for them, they're not playing them on console. They my grandson does play Call of Duty on my Xbox and Fortnite on my PlayStation. But the money that I spend on games for them is all like this. It's all for microtransactions. That's what the market wants. That's what people want. These numbers, by the way, come out of circa, what's the guy's name? Matt Piscatella. I know you guys have issues with this because it's, let me say this, guys. The information, as far as games, just so you know, for circa, the numbers that the figures they give you are true. They're vetted numbers, right? So the problem is they don't have all the information, right? But the information, and I'm just breaking it down in layman's terms, the information they do have, they break it down for you and whatever. How they report it, how people can use it to report things, they can put their own spin on it. But I'm not going to sit here and say that their numbers are incorrect, right? But a lot of them don't have all the information you would need in order to make a certain call, for example, especially when a game releases. When it first releases, if you don't have all the information, you can say these are the figures that we have, right? But the problem is when these numbers are put out, they make it as a definitive statement, which you couldn't do because you don't have all the data, basically. But at the end of the year, you do have the data, for example, that they've compiled for the PlayStation. Okay? And what's really a trip is that it wouldn't matter if you go to Xbox. It's still the same thing, right? It's still the same thing. The market dictates, right, what video game companies produce. And these are games, these 5 games, all companies are trying to replicate in one form or another, right? especially Fortnite. People want to be the next Fortnite. They want to generate that kind of revenue. They want to generate Call of Duty money, GTA 5, Minecraft, Roblox. My kids are, my granddaughter, especially, both my granddaughters play Roblox. That's what they play. They play different games on Roblox, and it has music, and I have no idea what they're playing. We have to monitor it, because of the whole danger out there, so that's really restricted. But the games they play, when I look at it, it's like a bad PlayStation 1 game. Some are pretty good. There's a racing game on there is pretty good. There's also like a Call of Duty type game that's pretty good, but I just can't. Number one, I can't play it because they're always on my tablets, so I don't get a chance to play it. And number two, I don't like playing. I don't like playing on tablet. Cell phone. If it was like Tetris, maybe a game like that I would play, but I can't do it. And it's just my old age, I guess. And it is for you probably that are watching this too, right? It's hard for us to accept that the number one games are not the games that we play, right? We're not seeing the first person experiences out there, right? Stellar Blade is not on here, for example. Death Stranding 2 is not is not on here as the most played. So, it is what it is. We have to get used to the new times. That doesn't mean, guys, that the kind of games that we play don't make money. Of course, they can make money. They can make a lot of money. But to go into that tier that influences the industry of what they're going to make and chase and what investors demand for, because this is what investors look at, right? They don't know the ins and outs specifically about every community and every type of subculture in video gaming. They look at hard numbers, right? And like, okay, what's selling? Oh, this is number one. Okay, make me a number one, And some corporate hack that makes the decisions as far as funding is going, well, he told me to make a number one. What's number one? Okay, make it just like that. Try to make it just like that. And that's what you get. That's basically what you've gotten for the last 5 years of video game companies trying to replicate and replicate and replicate. I want to be the next GTA 5. I want to be the next Fortnite. I want to do COD again. Well, those games already exist. There's already a customer base, and a very loyal customer base. Just look at it. 2 years in a row. It's probably more. But 2 years in a row for two different consoles, the top 5 games, they might change spots, but they're all there. They're all the same. You guys tell me. Do you play any of these? Do your kids play any of these? Are you spending money on microtransactions? I am. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you like, oh, no, I'm not. Of course I am. If I'm playing Call of Duty, I got to have the pass because my grandson loves it, and I play with him and stuff, so we got to get that. Buying Roblox is probably what we buy the most for the girls and my grandson. And I'm part of the problem too. I'm here to say that. And if you're a grandpa, hey, you're going to be part of the problem too. So don't look sideways at me, right? That's what the kids want today. They don't want cartridges. They don't want any Xbox Ones, right? They look at this and go, Grandpa, what's that? Oh, man. Time passes us by. All right, humans, thank you so much for joining me, having this conversation. A little bit of conversation. You can join the channel to look at all my outtakes, older videos. If you want to join me on a delicious cup of coffee up there, make sure you comment. Let me know what you're buying. What kind of microtransactions are you purchasing? Because you're doing it. You are doing it. Don't even look at me like that. You're doing it. You're buying it for your kiddos. Right? If you have grandkids, you're doing it. And I could tell. I could tell just by the way you purchase things that you do. All right, guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.